Most vibe coding tutorials I found were made by developers. So I spent 30 days learning it as a UI designer and just documented everything. I now have one Chrome extension live, one still in submission, and a web app I'm still actively building. I've spent years designing SaaS products, mobile apps, web apps, and all kinds of digital products. And this is my real experience of learning vibe coding with minimal development background. By the end of this video, you'll have a much more realistic picture of what vibe coding actually is, because it is a lot more involved than just telling AI what to do and watching it instantly appear. Based on my years of experience working with startups and agencies, I just always assumed that building my own product means I'd need to hire a developer, budget thousands of dollars, and spend weeks in briefings. And that's just how it works in every project I've been a part of. I never really questioned it. And then I started seeing a lot of people talking about vibe coding and actually shipping real products. And that sparked my curiosity. So I explored a lot of tools like Lovable, Anything, Base44, Replit, and what I found was for around $20 a month, I could basically learn how to communicate with AI and make it my junior developer. The easy and no-code friendly tools were tempting, especially given my design background, but the more I looked into it, the more I realized that I wanted full control over my file structure, my stack, and how my code is organized. So I ended up going down the rabbit hole on Claude Code and Cursor instead. And here's something worth saying upfront, especially for product and UX UI designers. Most developers and software engineers use AI for the design side, the UI, the layouts, and the user flows. Product and UX UI designers already know how a product should look like and feel like. We're using AI to handle the code, not the product thinking and the design knowledge behind it. And I think that's one of the bigger advantages you can have right now. What I've noticed is that I didn't really set out to build my own workflow. It just kind of happened by spending more time with the tools. Here's how it typically looks for me. Step one is ideation. I just think about the problems I'm constantly running into in my workflow as a designer. And then I try to figure out what tool or product can I create to solve or alleviate those problems. That's pretty much where I got all the ideas for the things that I'm building. Step two is validation. Before I start designing in Figma, I always have a proper chat with Claude to know if the idea is actually worth building. Do other people also struggle with the same problem I'm struggling with, or is it just a me thing? And if there are already tools solving this, what are they charging and where are they falling short? Step three is design and PRD in parallel. Once I validate the idea, I build the product in Figma, while Claude generates the PRD or product requirements document, and I always make sure that the PRD matches the design I made in Figma. And step four is building the actual product. Once the designs and the PRD are aligned, I move into Cursor with Claude Code and start building. I'll talk more about that setup in a minute. I had a lot of big ideas, SaaS products, mobile apps, and I quickly found out that it wasn't as straightforward as I thought. So I had to pull back a little bit and start with something much simpler. And that's basically how I ended up building these two Chrome extensions. The first one is called PaintShot. Whenever I needed a website screenshot for a presentation, case study, whatever, I'd have to screenshot it, bring it into Figma, find a plugin that wraps it in a browser frame, and half the time those plugins were either paid, watermarked, or just didn't produce a great result. PaintShot does the whole thing in under 30 seconds. You click the extension, capture the full page, pick the section you want, toggle dark or light mode, add or remove the drop shadow, then copy to clipboard or export as PNG or PDF. That's it. The first submission got rejected because it went through a few rounds of feature changes and I didn't fully clean up the code. Basically, it was still declaring permissions it no longer needed, and it's currently in its second submission. So, as I'm editing the video, I actually got the email and it's actually approved. So it's live now, and I'm gonna leave the link for this in the description. The second one is called Hexley. I was constantly jumping between different tools just to inspect a website. One tool for colors, another for fonts, browser dev tools for CSS. Hexley is basically all of that in one place. And it has a built-in CSS inspector. We can inspect elements and copy the styles either as plain CSS or as Tailwind classes. It just got approved today, and if you're interested in trying it, the link is in the description. It's free. Here's what this actually costs me. I'm on Claude Pro, which is $20 a month, but I signed up for the annual plan, so that saves me about $40 a year. Cursor, Vercel, Google Analytics are all free. The only other thing I paid for was a Google Chrome developer account, which is a one-time $5 fee to publish the extensions. For chatting, research, brainstorming, I use Claude Desktop app, I don't really use Cowork that much, to be honest. I run Claude Code in Cursor, and I'm on the free plan, so I'm not paying for Cursor at all. I'm essentially just borrowing its UI to run Claude Code in an environment that makes more visual sense to me as a designer. Your file structure is right there in the sidebar. You can see your folders, your directories, and it has a built-in terminal as well. I use Vercel to host the landing page and GitHub for version control. I also have Google Analytics set up just for basic anonymous tracking, and that's pretty much it. Here's the part most vibe coding tutorials don't really mention. You're going to have to learn some things. I learned more CSS, HTML, and JavaScript in 30 days of building than in the previous years of just being near it through design work. Beyond the front-end basics, there's stuff like understanding how authentication works, how authorization works, what a backend actually does, what an API is, and how to think about rate limits, what MCPs are, and when to use them. And all of these sound like buzzwords, but once you understand how they work, they stop being intimidating. I think a lot of people underestimate going in. It's just telling the AI what you want and it builds it for them. Vibe coding still requires you to think. You have to be willing to work through a problem, go back and forth and try different angles and work it out together with your agent. Here are some tips that I learned from these past 30 days. Tip number 1. Screenshot the problem. Instead of writing out what's broken, just screenshot it and paste it in. Claude Code can read images and figure out what's going on from that alone, way faster than typing it out. Tip number 2, use /compact and /clear. As you work in a session, the conversation history builds up. /compact compresses it into a short summary so Claude keeps the important context without carrying every message from the past few hours. Use it when you finish a chunk of work and you're about to start something new. /clear wipes everything completely. Use that when you're fully done with one part of the project, like when the home page is finished and you're moving on to something unrelated like the product page. Tip number 3, be specific. Don't just write, why isn't this working, or fix this. That forces the agent to scan the whole file, guess what the problem is, and sometimes it guesses wrong. Be specific and tell it exactly what's broken, where it's happening, and what should happen instead. Not only it gets you better output, it saves your tokens too. Tip number 4, ask questions before executing. At the end of heavier prompts, add this line. Ask me any questions you're unsure of before executing anything. Instead of Claude guessing how to fill the gap and getting it wrong, it surfaces the gaps first. Use this when you're doing heavy stuff like restructuring a code base or building a complex new feature. Tip number 5, use the right model for the right task. Not every task needs the most powerful model. For complex work, I'll reach for Opus. For most regular building and iteration, Sonnet is where I spend most of my time. And for simple, repetitive tasks, the lighter models are fast and cheaper. And tip number 6 is to always validate your idea before you start designing or building anything. Just have that conversation with Claude or ChatGPT or any other AI first. It'll save you a lot of wasted time. So that pretty much sums up my first month of vibe coding as a designer. This is just how I did it and what worked for me. It's not a blueprint or the right way to do it. Honestly, the best way to learn is just to start building something. You'll figure out your own workflow way faster than watching tutorials all day. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one.